In previous videos, we've thoroughly discussed the concept of information literacy, but you may have heard the term information literacy used interchangeably with media literacy or digital literacy. While they may share some similarities, it is important to distinguish them. Let's start with media literacy. The National Association for Media Literacy Education defines media literacy as an individual's ability to encode and decode the symbols transmitted via media and synthesize, analyze, and produce mediated messages. In this context, media refers to something that is used to communicate a message. This may be achieved through print or artistic visuals, as well as digital and electronic means. We spend a lot of our time consuming media, whether that's movies, television, social media content, or any of the many other forms it takes. Without media literacy, the media we view can easily take control and influence us in negative ways. How many stories have you heard involving cyberbullying or internet scams? Maybe you've seen a friend or relative tricked by misinformation online, or perhaps you've experienced feelings of low self-esteem in response to images or messaging you've seen online. Media literacy helps to combat these negative impacts by empowering us with the skills we need to recognize how media messaging affects us and equipping us with the tools we need to engage with and create media ourselves. Some of the core topics that come up when discussing media literacy are things like bias, misinformation, censorship, and social media. Let's take a look at how these topics relate to media literacy. In media, certain biases may be present in messaging which privilege a specific point of view or encourage us to see something in a certain way. Oxford Languages defines bias as prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way that is considered to be unfair. Unchecked bias can fuel misinformation and limit our ability to understand diverse perspectives. Bias may be present in the media messaging we come across no matter the medium. Recognizing bias allows us to think critically and respond thoughtfully to the media we interact with, rather than simply taking it at face value or reacting in a way that may have been manipulated by the media producer. For example, if you see a social media post from someone you follow and they are positively talking about a product, you may feel influenced to purchase that product. However, if you can recognize the possible bias present, perhaps they're being paid to promote the product, you have more control over your response to the post. You can learn more in our video on bias, which is linked in the description. Another skill we can learn from media literacy is combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is false or inaccurate information that is mistakenly distributed. Disinformation is misinformation that is spread deliberately in order to deceive. We can combat the spread of misleading or factually incorrect content by fact-checking before we share. We can do that by investigating a source ourselves or using online tools or websites that specialize in fact-checking. Just like bias, misinformation and disinformation can be present in any form of media. Part of being media literate is interacting with media critically and asking questions about the validity of the information it communicates. This doesn't mean we cannot be open to new thoughts and ideas, but it does mean that we do not automatically accept every new thought or idea as fact without verifying first. You can learn more in our video on misinformation and fact-checking, which is linked in the description. Bias and misinformation are elements of media messaging that we can identify using critical thinking and fact-checking skills. But what about materials or messages that are absent from media? Censorship is the act of banning, restricting, or removing access to certain words, images, or ideas. When censorship takes place, it is often argued that it is for the safety or protection of those who might have encountered words, images, or ideas that are considered dangerous. While certain media may elicit negative emotions, this sentiment implies that the people encountering dangerous ideas are unable to think for themselves. Media literacy directly combats censorship by giving us the tools to respond to uncomfortable media thoughtfully and critically, and to make our own decisions about the media we consume. Media literacy is especially vital when navigating social media. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook are full of bias, misinformation, and even censorship. Additionally, social media has its own language of references and inside jokes that is constantly shifting with trends. It can be difficult at times to know what is serious and what is satire, especially when interacting with unfamiliar accounts. Because social media trends move so quickly, it's easy to get swept away by a sense of urgency and react to things we see without taking the time to think first. On top of this, many social media users are intentionally posting provocative content that will spark engagement both positive and negative. Before we react to things we see on social media, we can ask ourselves, why did this user make this content? Am I the intended audience? Is their point of view dangerous or just different from mine? And is it necessary to respond? You may have noticed that a lot of the media literacy skills we can build are used in digital environments. So where does digital literacy come in? The ALA Digital Literacy Task Force defines digital literacy as an individual's ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information. This includes skills like using devices such as computers to find and use information, identifying information in a variety of mediums or formats, evaluating information for validity and reliability, and using digital tools and information ethically. Because so much of the media we consume is found in a digital environment, there is a great deal of overlap between the goals of media and digital literacy. As we said in the beginning, these terms are not interchangeable, but in practice, it is rare that you will ever use the skills of just one of these literacies when interacting with content. While media, digital, and information literacy are not synonymous, they share skills like the ability to evaluate and critically analyze content or find and communicate information. All three literacies inform one another and work together as a multifaceted skill set that helps us navigate our rapidly changing information landscape. In the next video, we'll explore some of the specific competencies associated with media and digital literacy, and take a look at some of the technologies we should be familiar with as university students. Want some help? Schedule a research appointment with one of our librarians today.